Okay, we'll call the management services meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are there any public comments? Maintenance supervisor report.
I was absent from the last management meeting, and I apologize, so I will highlight a couple of the items that would have been talking about a month ago. There was a considerable amount of painting that was done in the jail the past couple months around the cell block areas, the catwalks, a lot of the hallways. There is a new area in the upstairs of the jail that used to be for visitation, and we gutted that room pretty much, and now it's a new holding area for the upstairs portion of the jail. Amidst doing that, I had to have B&D come in and move some electric in there, and they put some tamper-proof lighting in the room as well. A couple things that are obvious, but I'll mention them anyway. The two trees that Marquis removed out here, he took care of. It was a little over a month ago. He knocked them both out in a day. The administrative center, I think the outside looks pretty good. The paint, I think they did it well. They finished just in time as well, because literally a few days afterwards the weather snapped over. So call it luck or expertise, I don't know. They timed it quite well. Heat pump status over here. There's a unit for the workforce office that we decided a couple months ago to swap out. And there's a 5 to 7 week lead time, I was told. It's been about that now, so I need to touch base with them and see what the status is on replacing that. Got over to animal control, did a final mow and clean up over there. There was some concrete work that we were hoping to get to on the stairs over there, like the handicapped ramp area, and it didn't happen. It's going to be a springtime project now. We just sort of ran out of time. I just mentioned already that we had the carpets cleaned, extracted for the assessment office. They requested that, and I couldn't tell you the last time it had been done. There's a claim for Aries Services. He had to come in and help me out. There was an issue in the upper area of the jail a few weeks ago where there were 2 showers that are connected, and they had some ungodly clog in there. It wasn't intentional. It was just years and years of hair and whatnot, and wound up having to cut a section of the drain and pipe a new area in there, and we fern coat most of it. So if this happens again in that area, we can just take it apart and do our thing. And that's pretty much highlights of the past, other than telling you about changing light bulbs and whatnot. So unless you have any questions, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And we'll move on to county farm management issues. Does anybody have it? I think we're pretty much. Is it fertilizer?
Yes, we did get the fertilizer invoice for $37,389.28. So that'll be in with your claims this month. And then I also sent it to Walker Farms for reimbursement.
Was that the amount that they did?
I've got the invoice here too.
We'll be taking care of that. Any other issues anybody knows about? We'll go on to animal control building and morgue. Morgue, John.
work is progressing. As you know, you and I and Doug have been meeting and so forth. There was, just to recap a little bit, at the last county board meeting, there was included in your packet a drawing from the architect for the layout over there. And will confess we haven't sat down with the coroner yet to go over that drawing and make sure some of the things are located where we want them to be, but that's something we're intending to get done this week. The people from MG2A, that agreement was signed after the county board meeting. They've been out and done their surveying work. So they're in the process of putting together the information that they need in readiness to make a presentation to the city. So from that standpoint, everything seems to be moving along pretty well. Last Friday afternoon, Doug met with a fellow from Weber to talk about some of the arrangements out there for the piping and so forth for the bathroom and the oil separator. We got all that pretty well straightened out as well, so. Is there anything else that I missed, Doug?
That's a good flyover.
So that's kind of where we're at. As we get everything with the MG2A completed, then we should be in a position, and as well as the architect, to go out for bids on the building itself. So we're hoping to get that done in the next month or so, but some of it's gonna depend upon how we getting approval from the city as far as the site out there is concerned, and what work has to be done to meet with their requirements, so. I'm optimistic because of our relationship with them and the mayor that we'll be able to get that done pretty soon, but we'll see. I have copies of the drawing that the architect submitted in case anybody needs them or wants to look at them.
Anybody got any questions? Okay. No questions. Animal control building. So at the last board meeting, it was said for us to get the fence done, or get the process going on the fence. So we need to, I guess we need to get the specs of exactly what we want written and send it to the 3 people that we've had contact with. And we can put it out for everybody, but at least get back in touch with those 3 and go from there. So I don't know if there's anything we need to do right now until we get those specs all ready, unless I don't know. We think we'll have specs ready before the full board meeting.
So you want me to go back over and create new ones?
I think we probably are gonna have to wait till next meeting, because it was brought up, we need to Juliet, find out where the gas lines are, stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think maybe we need to do some of that preliminary stuff before we can actually write specs for it and everything.
Okay.
And the work's not gonna get done until spring anyway, at this point, I don't think,
No, probably not.
so. But, has anybody got any questions on it? Okay, so I guess I'll get with Chris and we'll go through what we need to do and go from there after the meeting. FSA lease. Is that coming up?
Next year, Joe? What? FSA lease next year, correct?
Okay. After the last lease was signed, they gave us a book of all the things in this building that need to be taken care of. I expect that they'll bring that up for this lease. So we probably need to go through and figure out what those updates will cost us so that we can include it in the lease.
So you're gonna bring those to the next meeting, the books, or so we
I
can.
still have all that too.
How many pages of stuff is there, Chris?
Oh, it's a lengthy read. It's, they're not numbered, but, about 10 pages here.
I
Is
know.
that just in their space, or is this
No,
the
it's the
entire
whole building.
building?
It's the entire building, they have new doors out there. The bathroom has to be changed. If
Well,
I
that's
remember correctly.
right, but now I don't know if every bathroom has to be handicapped or if,
One closest.
well, we have the one over here that was a Head Start, got redone. It's handicap accessible and qualifies as a family bathroom. So I don't know if that takes care of it for the building or if we have to do each.
One of the items is the drinking fountains. They aren't up to snuff. Is that something, since we're talking about it here, that remove those and just put one in each of those stations? I mean, do we need 4 drinking fountains?
The problem with handicap drinking fountains is you have to have one low enough for a wheelchair to access and
So-
one high enough for somebody that
Yeah.
can't bend over.
I'm picturing that now, how there's the low one and the high one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, whether we have to have one set or 2 sets,
Mm-hmm.
that, and most of the new ones also have a fill for filling cups and stuff. But it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to update them, because we haven't looked at them, but the old ones used to have lead tanks to store the water. So,
Door handles in the entire building. That's something I don't understand though. Leather door handles must be present on all doors, both sides throughout the building.
well,
So,
that wouldn't,
you know,
that wouldn't be for these because they don't have, I don't know,
That's for latches.
they would have to be handicap style doors, which on these, that means they'd have to open with 5 pounds or less of pressure, if I remember what it said.
it's like their doorway, there's no accessible route to the ramp in front of USDA.
Has that been changed though? We did some stuff out there with some signage and some stuff. Is there,
I don't remember.
is there a lip at the sidewalk over there?
This morning.
I'm recalling it as one of those things we walked over there and looked at and we're like, what are they talking about? One of the, it's,
Must have been gone.
because you had forementioned that it had been addressed prior and it was taken care of, but I
Is there a step up from the sidewalk into the building?
don't think so. Yes, there is.
Okay, so that would be the issue.
Yeah, there is. There's a curb there unless you go over by the health department where the employees walk in and then access it that way, which you can, but
That's what constitutes the ramp.
the pull force of all doors need to be
5 pounds or less.
X amount and, it goes on and on.
So, yeah, 'cause I know they will not pay for that stuff, but if you put it in the lease, that's how they pay for it. That's how the remodeling of down there got paid for, that's why they paid more, a higher lease than everybody else.
The entryway doors and the restroom doors measured 9 pounds of force. It must be reduced to no more than 5. Well,
So,
Should we start taking a look at that next month?
Well, we need to start looking at what needs to be done and getting prices on what it's gonna take. I mean,
Bring the list next, I don't remember, I must have missed a meeting where this was discussed, I don't remember this.
it was discussed several times, cause they sent us a letter
It's up
a
in
couple of
September.
times.
We thought we could get grandfathered.
Well, the state's attorney finally sent them a letter saying this was not ever mentioned when we were doing the lease process, so then they dropped it.
So now it's an issue again, or
Well,
it will be in the
it
lease
probably
process.
will be, I'd rather be prepared for it.
September, I just asked Jill, it's up in September of this coming year, so we have some time yet.
Yeah.
I can,
By the time we gather prices on all this stuff, it's gonna take us some time.
So that's 9/24 it expires,
And we're probably gonna have, I don't know how long it takes for them to negotiate a lease.
a long time.
Yeah, and that's probably something in the spring we're gonna wanna start talking to them about.
Takes a long time just to get them to give their attention. I think that was a 10-year lease before, wasn't it?
Yes.
So I think we better get to work on that stuff next month.
And both of us were here for it the last time, so that means we've been here way too long.
and
Term
there's still,
limits.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I
That's okay.
apologize. There's still lobbying, they want more janitorial services being done as well.
Okay.
Bridget informed me of that here a couple months ago, said that Melissa took her aside and said if she can like start coming in more days during the week and doing this and this and this, and so that might be another issue as well.
Figure out what that cost would be, you know, so much per hour or whatever.
Because the interim that was here for 6 months, 8 months, whatever, she kept telling me how the Paxton office has a full-time, they have their own full-time housekeeper just for that office, and it's like, well, don't hear, sorry.
Full-time,
That's what she claimed,
40 hours to clean an office.
that's what she claimed. It must be a big office. But
Was that paid for by the FSA for the full-time employee?
I don't know,
Well, if we're providing it, we're gonna have to figure that into the cost.
Mhm.
If they want more hours, but I can't think that 40 hours is necessary.
No, I mean, if they need the garbage dumped every day, okay, maybe that's something.
Like maybe a couple hours a day will be adequate.
which, you know, do you then try to find a person who would come in for an hour and a half a day every day to pacify them, you know, it's,
Can you just give Bridget more hours?
she's, well, that would make her full-time, cause she's maxing out her 19 hours a week as it is right now, and if we started giving her more, then that would push her to a full-timer.
We'll have to look at alternatives on that too then. I mean, is there a need for somebody else part-time that could work here and the jail? Or is the jail covered pretty good?
Jail gets, the COs do the, well, sheriff can attest to this, COs do the, and the inmates do the cleaning pretty much. And then Yvonne goes over there once a week and does their bathroom, and so I don't know that the,
Investigations, bathroom investigations.
yeah, and she does that as well upstairs,
But that's covered pretty good.
We can find some high school kid to come work over there for
Well, and
an hour a day after school.
when you're in there vacuuming, do they want you there when they're working?
That's the thing too, is that not all, but you know, it gets passed on to me from the housekeepers that it does irritate some people. Some don't give a darn, but then yeah, there's some other, you know, trying to be on the phone or doing whatever, it's, they don't want a vacuum going, but what do you do? It's kind of the only option with it.
Unless the cleaning comes in after hours, which then is gonna cost more.
Right, well, and that's, when I first started here, that's what was happening. She was coming in at 3:30 or something and then working, till a couple hours after so she could do that. And then I forget the circumstances exactly, but we decided that that wasn't a good idea anymore. And wanted to have her here when people are around. But that was like 6 housekeepers ago.
Do they not want somebody in there after hours either? Cause they like keeping their stuff pretty locked down.
Well, there's a lot of the offices that want it locked up.
Well, maybe it'd be that somebody could come in at, what time do they close, 4 or 4:30?
Is it 4:30? It's 4:30, I believe.
4:30, so, the last hour of the day, maybe they have to give a little bit, and there's gonna be a vacuum sweeper running, So, have your phone calls made, and I would think they'd be powering down about that.
I think our maintenance supervisor ought to be able to figure out a plan.
I can run a mean vacuum. Just ask my wife.
All right, well, we will keep going after this.
Let's get to work on
And not to speak for them, but anytime I've spoken to and had to deal with anyone there in USDA, they're very understanding and cooperative. I think most of the rules are coming from higher up.
I would agree with that, and they're the ones that are hard to get to the table or even get, I'm not saying they're even difficult,
Sure.
it's just that contacting, getting responses are always delayed and take forever.
Right. Okay, well, we'll keep working on that, we'll move on. Discussion and action on administrative office of the Illinois Courts lease agreement for office space. Sheriff, you wanna say anything?
We kind of pushed this back for several months. This contract is not really in line with, what our other contracts are for Jill. But, they have similar contracts in Ford County and McLean County. And I've had copies of those, and I think we're getting a lot better deal than what Ford and McLean are. He really doesn't take up much space. It's good to have, him around, so I don't see any reason why we wouldn't sign it. I think the information provided, shows how much we would make, throughout the entirety of the contract.
So, it's how long of a contract?
5 years. Was that the Vinnie's office?
Well, there's 3 offices in that one office.
I
And,
see.
yeah, he's, as you, look straight into the office. So it's Vinnie, Kelly, and Reed. And they're not gonna need to add a probation officer anytime soon, so. That office was used just to talk to the, sex offenders that are on probation.
Okay, well, anybody have questions?
Where are they gonna do that now?
Probably be in, Greg Barrett's office.
Mr. Scher?
I think the biggest question I would have looking at the contract is the rent, $13 a square foot, gonna be sufficient 4 years from now?
I mean, that's in line with the contracts they've got with other. I think it does,
Other counties are agreeing to $13 a square foot 4 years from now.
that's what the Ford and McLean contracts that I had before.
The way our costs are and the way they're increasing, I guess I wonder if that's gonna be enough.
This is just another one of
And
those.
the only issue I have with it, I looked it over pretty carefully, and I think it's all good except for that part.
I think it was kind of front loaded on the beginning of the contract where it was like $16 a square foot.
Right, but that's supposed to be making up for time they've already been
Right.
there, which is fine.
Because he's been in that office since October 24th of 22.
So it's over a year.
What are we charging for rent on the ones here now?
$11 a square foot.
So that's a $2 increase over the next few years. Will it be enough? Who knows what's gonna happen?
Well, really, from that standpoint, what's probably the fairest for all parties is if you took the rent for today and said that it would increase by the cost of living increases or whatever other criteria we're using every year to increase our cost. That way they're not paying more and we're not getting stuck with somebody paying less.
You already have one office that's paying less than $11 an hour. 911's only paying $9.50 an hour, or $9.50 a square foot.
So we're losing there.
Oh. What are we thinking?
What state office do you talk to about this?
It's the AOIC, the Office of Administrative Courts. Brian Asbell is the chief over this area.
Do you think that'd be agreeable to any kind of a arrangement like I was saying?
That it would increase by the cost of living per year. I can ask him.
I mean, to me, that offers us protection and not get stuck with having to pay more.
How about a shorter contract?
But on the other hand, it's an office that wasn't making us any money to begin with, so $13 a square foot.
And it's a state contract. They want their state contracts to kind of align across what they're doing with other communities as well. So
Yeah, they don't wanna have 102 different contracts.
And just like with the FSA office, you see, this is their contract. They're probably not going to give any consideration to if we come back and say we want to use our contract to bring you in line with all of our other renters. I would guess their answer is gonna be the same as the FSA office and like, this is the contract,
well,
this is all we're doing.
and we did that. We Jill and I talked and we kind of showed them what the numbers would be that were lined up with our contracts here, and they said, no, we can't do that. This is what we can offer.
So it's already been presented to them? So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, would somebody like to make a motion of some kind?
I move that we accept the contract with the terms presented.
I'll second.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crowe?
Yes.
Barons?
Yes. Discussion on building security and updates. We kind of did a little on updates with what the FSA is gonna need. Security. Did you have anything, John, or?
Yes, there was an incident down at the workforce office here recently. And it highlighted the fact that none of these offices over here have panic buttons. I thought that was something that we agreed upon some time ago, that we were gonna get those put in.
And
apparently that isn't the case, so I believe that this incident highlights the need very dramatically that we need to get that done.
And some of them that had them in the past are not operating, so. I guess the treasurer's office has a system themselves, correct?
I don't think so.
No, I thought they were.
Cameras,
Oh, they put cameras in?
Kurt has cameras, yes.
Okay.
I presented this to the ARPA committee last year. The company that we have at the courthouse, it's actually getting updated, middle of December. So that's a modular system that I presented to the ARPA committee that would cover the courthouse, jail, admin center, and even the county highway. And it was, I think, tabled. So I did go ahead with the courthouse update, so that's gonna be done. So if you guys want to, when they update that, we can have them come over and look at the admin center.
That would be nice, yes. Do you have any idea about what it was costing?
I think it was around 40,000 total for the project, and just the courthouse and jail, I took care of that for around 16. So with that, every office holder would be able to sign up to get text or email alerts if a button is pressed. Actually, anybody in the building. Jill signed up to get alerts at the courthouse, there's a button pressed over at the courthouse. So you could have buttons on the computers or actual push buttons. You can log into the system to see the status of all the push buttons, the battery health. So it's a good system. And when you press that, it goes over our sheriff's main frequency. It will say assistance needed in the treasurer's office or assistance needed in the county border or wherever.
So then, does that dispatch a deputy or does it dispatch?
It goes straight over our sheriff's main, so
And you'll come running right over.
yeah, all the deputies hear that, the dispatch hears that, so. Yeah, it's, I mean,
It's
it's
the
hard.
Watsika police that are supposed to respond to that, not the sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, once dispatch hears that, they can tell Watsika police.
In this particular instance, the young lady was left to fend for herself. She called 911 and they didn't believe her. They didn't believe that she was right down the hall from them, and she had to make several calls before they finally got it straightened out and got somebody over here.
Yeah, I can't speak to that, I don't know.
I mean, that's the story I got, but it
So there is actual.
dramatizes the possibility
There can
that
be.
people are being left in a
Sure,
very vulnerable position.
yeah, definitely.
He explained it much better than me. We were discussing this or I was trying to,
Oh,
before you came in, and I did a very poor job of it, so.
911 didn't believe it. Like, the script of my head.
that'd be a question for Charlie, he's on the ATSB board.
Sorry, I didn't catch the early part of that conversation. Probably lucky, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, well, yes, if you could have them look at the situation and get us some pricing. You know, I don't know that we can do this and Highway 2, you know, we might just do this and then Highway later.
Highway's already, highway, got approved for a security project in the amount of 27,000, I believe.
Right.
And I know they put alarms and cameras, I'm not sure without looking here.
And did they put in a key entry
They've got a
keys?
fob system, yeah.
Yeah,
So basically, we're the only ones without it then.
okay, so security system including cameras, electronic locks and alarms, so they're good. Highway's good.
Well, for alarms, but not panic buttons.
Right, but there's, you know, they're all working.
Well, ARPA's scraping the bottom of the barrel, so.
Are you guys thinking every desk that has a person at it would get a button?
I would think we would let that up to each department head or whatever, they thought.
This
'Cause
includes FSA, Health Department, Workforce Development, Veterans
we can give them the
Assistance.
option. FSA, I would say we can get pricing on it, but the cost of that would be included in a contract, I would think.
This is Wave Plus
Yeah.
system upgrade, so the ARPA application that he submitted was originally for $29,000. And that would be the alert system in the courthouse, jail, admin, county highway. Let's see here. And it
I was
included,
awful again.
huh?
I was awful.
That would've been
I said 40.
But that included, the panel, 20 single button alarms, 18 single button alarms for renters, 3 virtual button licenses, a repeater, interface for the phone, interface for radio, another 33 single duress buttons, and a water resistant button, one of those. Don't know what that would.
That's the one that the correctional officers will utilize when they're taking people back and forth.
Oh, okay.
And what happened? It got tabled?
And then,
Didn't get done.
it didn't get approved. And then, please note this quote does not include taxes, well, that's good, because we don't pay. Yeah, it was for 28,000. This was back in August of 2022. So I'm sure that price maybe has changed.
Plus, the jail's already been done in
Yeah,
highway,
Well, highway has it under this system.
right?
It would be less if we did not include highway, but when I presented it, I wanted to cover everyone, so everybody was protected.
maybe get an updated pricing on what it would cost to do this building.
Yeah, they'll be here probably mid-December to get that updated and installed.
Yeah, if you could have them get us some pricing, that would be nice. Anybody got any other questions on that, or any other security issues? Okay. Discussion and action on Grant Street bid proposal, where are we at with that? Do we wanna send it back out for bid? Or
Has John left the area for the money?
I may have, I don't know.
You didn't hear from him?
I think where we left it was using the same bid packet as before, changing the dates. And in item, did you guys get my email that I sent?
Yeah.
Okay. In item 3 under bidding procedures, where it says successful bidder shall be prepared to complete the project within 6 months of bid letting. You're either gonna remove that sentence altogether, so I highlighted it, or put some other verbiage there stating there's no timeline. I think though we were just going to delete that, so I highlighted it for you. The other items that are highlighted are just that we need to change those dates. Because these go off of the last time we put them out for bid. But I just sent it out so you can look it over, let me know if there's anything in there that needs changed. And otherwise, I think we agree we were just gonna use the same bidding process as before.
Thoughts?
Are we ready? Yeah. Okay, if we make those changes?
I think if we make the changes, then it can go out for bid, and we'll see, by not limiting the time frame.
Okay.
That was what dropped a bunch of them out, was they said we can't get it done in that time frame.
Right.
Well, if we had not had the time frame and been on the schedules, it may have been getting done in the spring.
Right.
Now every time we put too much restrictions, it pushes it further down the road and, you know, we're better off to not put those restrictions and it might get done.
Need a motion, no? I'll make the motion that we go out with bid and eliminate the time aspect to it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna delete that sentence
Yes.
altogether. I'll date everything as of this coming board meeting. When do you want to open bids?
What do you figure? January? They give them time and everything like that, or?
I would say February because you're looking at, the board meeting is next week.
Yeah.
Then your Christmas.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna get done.
Right.
So if you have a deadline in January,
Still,
which is the 1st of January, we gotta change the meeting date. You're not gonna get the bids.
Yeah.
So then it pushes it down the road again, so if we just say February instead, it gives them plenty of time.
So bids will be open in February.
Yeah.
The initial
Because if they're calling for prices, they may have a difficult time at this time of year getting pricing.
right.
meeting. Anything else in here that you noticed needed change?
If it was all done correctly the last time, it should be fine.
Yeah, we went through it multiple times.
Yeah.
Or John did anyway.
Okay.
Need a second.
I have a motion.
There's a
Donna,
motion on the floor, is there a second?
Donna.
She doesn't want to second it. It's okay if you don't want to second it. I can second it,
Is that your second?
yes. Yes, please.
Bowers,
Yes.
Crowe,
Abstain.
Barons,
Yes. All right, now the full board can make a decision on what. Okay, anybody got claims? Any questions? Any motions?
I'll make a motion that we accept the claims.
Is there a second?
Second.
Bowers,
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Barons,
Yes. Is there any old business? Yes,
I have some general business.
Okay.
I think next month is when we need to put out mowing bids. Is that correct? They'll go out in January, because then they'll be opened in February, because then they could be starting in March, right?
Okay.
Because their 3-year contract is up. And so that's something we'll have to throw together and send it out in January,
okay,
if I'm not mistaken. And then see what we get and open them in February and
all right, good. We'll be on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
Okay, new business, unless you guys wanna be here on January 1st, we need to set a date for our meeting for January. In the past, we've moved it to Wednesday at 1, does that work for people?
January 3rd.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Is that okay with you, Donna?
I need to look here, doing 3 things. Okay, January 3rd is a Wednesday at what time?
1,
I think that's okay.
and that's what we'll plan on.
January 3rd, 1 PM for management. Therefore, I probably have to move to.
Aren't you guys done? All right, any other new business?
Not have our. Maybe not.
If you don't have much to discuss.
We're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Okay, is there any other new business? there a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.